race and around social justice in the high school systems. It's starting to pick up way. YouTube, sorry, I had the mic off. So, hey, everybody. Yeah, about race. And it's passing through state by state right now. So we're going to talk about what that is for those who aren't familiar with that. And then from there, hey, Fiaz, what's up, man? Nice to see you. Revolutionels, what's going on? Yeah, so we're going to talk about that real quick so you guys know exactly what's coming. And for all the allies out there who are all about, social justice and seeing the right thing happen, I definitely want to encourage you to check out these laws that we're about to talk about today, and make sure that you're aware of how this could affect your children and future kids going forward. And then secondly, we're going to talk about crypto. And this conversation around crypto is not going to just be about let's get some Dogecoin and make $121,000 off of $1,000. No, it's not really that. It's going to be more of a strategic look at the rise of crypto, especially Dogecoin, and just giving you a little bit of analysis as to why I think it makes sense to take a deeper dive. All right. So first and foremost, I want to thank everyone for coming through. Last week was really cool. We had the hack on. He was talking about, we were talking about 10 trends in 2021. And the week before that, it was my wife and I, we were on here talking about relationship things, relationship dynamics. And I do want to let you guys know that next week, my wife will be on here discussing something juicy. I'm not going to give away what it is, but she will be on here, and we're probably going to be going back and forth, rotating those topics, because again, as time progresses, we're going to need more and more access to different types of knowledge, because wealth is not just money. Wealth is knowledge. Wealth is understanding. I was in a clubhouse room today that was talking about the friendship between women and how there's a competition inherently in some of those friendships, and how do you manage that? And it's like, those are the types of conversations that really provide perspective, especially from a standpoint of a man. Like I see competition very differently than how women see competition. So it was really cool. And this is the kind of conversations that really stimulate the pineal gland. So let's get into it. All right. So first and foremost, for everyone who's following us on YouTube, we're going to be sharing our screens today. I'm actually going to click, let me see if I can share this. I can't even text it. Actually, I can text it to her. I'm gonna put the link of what I'm trying to show in the on the YouTube, and hopefully my lady can pick up on that and keep it moving. But we are going to go and talk about a word that is called critical race theory. How many of you have heard of this? Critical race theory. Lauren, what's going on? Nice to see you. Another Wardy, what's up? So critical race theory, according to the Britannica, is an intellectual movement and loosely organized framework of legal analysis based on the premise that race is not a natural, biological, grounded feature of physically distinct subgroups of human beings, but a social constructed, culturally inverted category that is used to oppress and exploit people of color. Critical race theorists hold that the law and the legal institutions in the United States are inherently racist insofar that they function to create and maintain social, economic, and political inequities between whites and non-whites, especially African Americans. Critical race theory was officially organized in 1989 at the first annual workshop on critical race theory. Through its intellectual origins, go back much further to the 1960s and 70s. Its immediate precursor was the critical legal studies movement, which dictated itself to examining how the law and legal institutions serve the interests of the wealthy and powerful at the expense of the poor and marginalized. Okay, so what is actually happening with critical race theory, and why is it even a thing that we're going to talk about right now? I listen to SiriusXM. I don't know if you guys know about SiriusXM, and if you don't have a membership, I must start kicking this. I gotta stop kicking this thing. I definitely recommend that you pay the $9 a month or whatever it is to get onto SiriusXM Urban View. It is a station that is predominantly, about urban issues, which would be Black and brown issues. And it actually talks about these things in a very deep dive. There was a host today, Lori Daniel Favors, her and her husband were actually on the show today discussing critical race theory. And I only get them for about an hour in my car. But from what I gathered, in that conversation, it was really important that we look at, the points that they brought up. And one of the points that they brought up was actually an article. I'm going to tweet it. If you guys are following me on Twitter, I'm going to just retweet the article so you can see it on my Twitter. Boom, just got it retweeted. And it's basically a culturally responsive teaching. And, the idea of critical race theory is that, those politicians are putting it in office and they're trying to pass these bills, and Florida's already passed it. I think Texas is trying to pass it. I think a few others are looking to pass this law. The purpose of this is really to change the way that teachers are allowed to speak on racial inequities that have occurred. And I think after last year, last year's awakening, after the murder of Brother Floyd, I think that there has been a shift on these conversations. Now, what does that have to do with wealth, right? Here's my take. It's important that we understand that the beginning of wealth, right, starts in your education. Ask anyone who's traded in any sort of investment portfolio. Ask anybody who's traded, finance or financially. Like, you're either going to get educated on it by someone who knows what they're doing, or you're just going to stumble through it. You might get some gains, you might not. But you being educated on finance and educated on investments and stocks really makes a difference on your portfolio and your ability to generate wealth. Similarly, if you are, educated on how to, understand the society that you live in, that also can impact your ability to be a better human. And that is the fight now that I think that we're going into, which is, do we really want to create better humans or not? That's all. And where does that start? It starts with our kids, what they're being taught. If you have kids, and I have a young daughter, I'm looking at the TV shows that I watch with her. And I have to be cautious of what I watch with her, because there's a lot of subliminal messaging in cartoons and in the things that are designed for kids. So it starts at a young age, and there's an indoctrination that occurs in America, and I'm sure Canada and other, first world nations have this similar issue, the UK, where you're indoctrinated before you're even of age to understand what it means. To the point where when you finally wake up, you're like, wow, I thought for this whole time that this was just 1, 2, 3. I didn't know it was all the way up to 27, 8, 29, 30. That's literally how we're taught in this country. We're literally taught at an amoeba stage, how to understand and interpret the society we live in. So as a parent, I'm looking at this and saying, okay, if you can't teach my child about white supremacy, how am I supposed to expect you to give them the tools that they need to survive in a system that's based on white supremacy? You know what I mean? If it is that, we've had, different socioeconomic, movements in this country. We've had, the civil rights movement. We've had, I can name a bunch of them, but I don't need to. Like, you guys all know, we've had all of these movements in this country. And imagine if whenever we discuss them with the students or the young kids that are coming up, and we say, hey, this is just, we're going to give you the facts. We're not going to talk about the systemic part of this. We're just going to talk about the facts. Martin Luther was murdered. Malcolm X was killed by Black people. Let's talk about, like, if that's what we're going to talk about, and just list the facts, but not the system of, the CIA and the FBI following Malcolm wherever he went and getting informants trying to sabotage his relationship with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Like, if we don't talk about all of the different things that aren't just facts, but they're the nuance that comes with the history, what are we really doing? So today we're going to look at this article from Southern Poverty Law Center. Okay. And if you're following us on YouTube, you'll see this article. It is splcenter.org. I'm actually going to I retweeted it. So if you follow my Twitter, just click on my Twitter and you'll see it there. This article is basically about teaching the hard history. Schools are not adequately teaching the history of American slavery. Educators are not sufficiently prepared to teach it. Textbooks are not having enough materials about it. And as a result, students lack a basic knowledge of the important role it played in shaping the United States and the impact it continues to have on race relations in America. Like, when you just start off with that, right? You already know that you're going deep. So to paraphrase this article, and not to like bog you down with this for too long, because I want to have a discussion with you and not just read the screen, but I'm going to go to one part of this article that really stood out to me. And it is right here. High school seniors struggle on even the most basic questions about American enslavement of Africans. It says that only 8% of high school seniors surveyed can identify slavery as the central cause of the Civil War. 2/3, 68%, don't know that it took a constitutional amendment to formally end slavery. And fewer than 1/4, so 22%, can correctly identify how provisions in the Constitution gave advantages to slaveholders. I want to read these stats again. 8% of high school seniors can identify that slavery as can identify slavery as a central cause for the Civil War. Only 8% of high school students can do that. So that's already a problem for me. So that means 92% of them can't. And this is why, there has been a push for education. There's why there's been a push for being transparent in the school system, because again, folks are seeing what's happening. Everyone's home. We can watch the news. We can see what's going on, and it's not looking good, right? So popular textbooks fail to provide comprehensive coverage of slavery and enslaved people. The best textbooks achieved a score of 70% against the rubric of what should be included in the study of American slavery. The average score was 46%. So students fail to set appropriate high expectations of their content standards. In word, the standards are timid. So let's go to what students actually know according to this article, right? And this is what blew me away. And this is why I'm saying that we need to have a discussion about how we're teaching our kids and what the standards are that are set for that. So in this article here, I'm going to make my screen bigger so you guys can see this. I know it's a little small here. Let's make it bigger. All right. So this data is organized by concept. So we're going to give you a concept. Then we're going to give you what percent of the teachers understand it, what percentage of students understand it, what percentage of textbooks show it, and then what are the standards that are set like by the board of ed, right, for this. So first one, key concept, slavery, which was practiced by Europeans prior to the arrival in the Americas, was important to all of the colonial powers and existed in all of the European northern colonies. 53% of teachers know this. 52% of students know it. It's taught at a clip of 58% in textbooks. However, the standards that are set by the board are at 13%. So the board standard is below people's actual knowledge of this part of our American history. I'm going to go all the way down to this part, number 8 on the list. And you guys can read through this. Again, the link is already up. Number 8, slavery shaped the fundamental beliefs of Americans about race and whiteness, and white supremacy was both a product of and legacy of slavery. This is from this article. So that's the subject matter. How many people know this? 50% of teachers know it. 39% of students know it. It's taught by 25% of textbooks. And the standards according to the board is 0. It's not even included in that. So that means that if you don't teach it, it's okay. And to me, that's kind of where we have to start looking at, are we connecting history with the system that was designed to describe how it played out? And I feel like the play here, and here's the play here, right? I'm a strategic guy, and I look at things like this. I look at education. I look at, access to education. I look at the fact that, students of color were bused all over town and had to go past schools that were close to their home just because they were segregated. Like, I'm looking at all of these things, and it's so easy to see that a systemic problem was the reason why you had to pass 4 schools and go to the one school that was a school for Black and brown folks. Now, we have to ask ourselves, is that the life we want? Is that what we want? Like, do we want to live in a place where our history is not discussed? Our kids aren't learning how to be better. They're not learning how to adapt. And then we're stuck in this place where we have to now describe to them, okay, when you go outside and the police stop you, understand that if you look like me, you might have more of a problem than if you look like someone else. That conversation can't happen without us having a discussion about the impact of the system of white supremacy. So all of this to say that as we look at this definition of critical race theory and how it's being used, that is being used. Oh, let's end that. Sorry about that, folks. I got to just make sure that my phone can't ring. So let's do that real quick. Boom. Had to do that. I don't know why I'm getting calls right now on WhatsApp. That's very strange to me. But, we have to look at this from a standpoint of we've got to do better. And we have to understand that this is something that's going to grow into something that every state is going to consider, especially the Republican-run states, because that's the group that's proposing this legislation. So let me go back into, so if you're not on our YouTube, you can't see what I'm saying here. Let's see. So critical race theory states. Critical race theory at the Hill, ban critical race theory now. Okay, so Texas is considering banning critical race theory. And this is just a quick Google search, y'all. Actually, I'm not even going to go into that. I don't even want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this. You know why? I want you to do your research. I want everyone that's on this live to actually look up critical race theory and look at what's been coming out. And I want you to look at my Twitter. I'm gonna link the link under this video as well, and we'll have a discussion about that next week. But I don't want to waste time on it because I feel like the further I go into this hole, the less vibration of that conversation. Like it's not a high vibrating conversation. My thing is we just have to be strategic in everything that we do. And when it comes to our kids, we have to understand that this is a battle for their minds. And I don't care if your kid is majority, minority, doesn't matter. We have to make sure that we're setting precedents for how they need to interact in this society. You know, if you don't agree with a systemic racism, then you should show it by how you respond and how you act when it comes to these types of topics. So, you know, if you are an ally, if you are someone who cares about equal treatment of women, equal treatment of men, equal treatment of people of color, equal treatment of Asians, Americans, equal treatment of African Americans, if you care about equal treatment of Indian Americans, whatever you may be, it starts with a respect and understanding that we all have a soul and a spirit that matters more than anything else. And when we respect that, we can then learn about everyone else's history. I was speaking to a lady a couple of weeks ago, and you know, our conversation was really enlightening for her, but for me, it was just every single day that this is what we talk about. And the point of it was really that you need to understand that we're different and that that's not a bad thing. That's actually a positive. You know, we get more from each other when we understand our differences and we learn from them. You know, when you learn from culture, when you learn from history, when you learn from all these things, it gives you a well-rounded opinion of life and of the preciousness of life. And then you won't squander it or put your knee on someone's neck and kill. Like, I mean, you're not going to, if you respect life, you're not going to do that. So that's all I'm going to say about that. If you don't, again, follow Larry Daniel Favors, get SiriusXM, Urban View, and then listen to that bad boy every day. That'll keep you up to date with everything that's going on. I'll talk about one last thing in this, and I'm going to leave this one right where it is. At the end of the day, we're responsible for what our kids learn. Okay, the first teacher is parents. So I would suggest to all my parents in the call, ensure that you're teaching your kids exactly what they need to know to survive in this society. And make sure that you're only doing it in a way that's going to be open. You're not going to be demeaning any culture. Like, as a black man, I'm not going to come out here and say that white people are the devil. Not saying that, you know, or it's that Asian people or whatever. Like, I'm not going to categorize any person, right? I'm going to say that I'm going to judge you based on your actions. If you live in a system that is inherently good for you, but inherently bad for me, and you're okay and you're not trying to fight for that equality, then I'm going to decide whether or not that's a relationship that I want to maintain. That's simple. And it's not about, you know, what you look like. It's about how you behave and what's your mental, you know, what's your mental when it comes to these topics. So that'll be that. So now let's get into this crypto business. The Color of Money and The Color of Law are two great books to highlight the system. Yeah. Oh yeah. Janelle, that's exactly right. If you guys haven't heard of The Color of Money or The Color of Law, those are two books that will definitely highlight this concept. And again, we have to educate ourselves on this stuff because we have to be able to talk about it in a manner that's not going to be combative, but just educationally. So let's get into crypto. All right. So folks, you guys are seeing Dogecoin, right? Let me pull this up right now. Let's go to our finance at Yahoo. You know what we do. Finance at Yahoo. Let's look at crypto. And for all those who are following us, let's see, what's going on here? Let's get to it, guys. No, we're not stock gainers. We're not looking for that. Not stock losers. Here we go. Currencies. Nope, I want crypto. Oh, it's not giving me my currencies, huh? Oh, here we go. Boom, cryptocurrencies. All right. So, folks, if you're not following us on YouTube, you should be. We are doing our thing on Yahoo Finance. All right. So, Bitcoin was up 6.2% today. Ethereum was up 6.2%. Dogecoin was up 15% today. XRP was up 19%. BHC, so Bitcoin Cash, was up 43% today. So a lot of movement in crypto. All right, so here's my thing. So folks who got into Dogecoin, right? And you guys got into when it's under a penny. If you did, and you're making a killing, remember we talked about cryptocurrencies. We talked about this being a big deal back in February. If you had done that in February, you would have been sitting pretty right now. Okay, why is this happening? Let's talk about why it's happening. So because of the legislation changes that are coming, especially in finance, whether that be for the very, very extreme wealthy, banks understanding that as an institution, they need to start diversifying their assets. A lot of this is happening because folks that have money are trying to protect it. And they're trying to put it in places where it's not going to be taxed. Now, remember, if you have crypto, as long as you don't sell it, there's no taxable event. So for folks who are looking to shield their taxes, right? And remember, Biden's tax plans coming into fruition over this year and next year. For those who are looking to shield their taxes, who don't need access to the money, why not throw it into crypto? What you're seeing here is a movement of the wealthy. You're seeing people who have money set aside rather invest it into something that is not going to be hit at capital gains taxes this year because they want to make sure that until they want an asset that they can put their money in that's going to just grow without any sort of unfetteredness for the entire time. That's the goal here. And you're seeing it by the volume. The volume alone is showing you that. Now, for folks who invested in Coinbase, right? We talked about Coinbase and we talked about how it was going to go up when it came out. Then it's going to trickle down a little bit and then even out. So you probably, and we're going to go and look at this right now. So Coinbase, let's go for 1 month because it's only been out for a very short time. All right, full screen. Here's Coinbase's chart. Let's go back a month. Okay, cool. So opened 250, pushed up to 381. Okay, boom. And then since then it's been dropping, right? Dropping, just consistently dropping. Okay, cool. That is what's going to happen with an IPO. Usually that's how it works. Now, Coinbase is more of a long-term play for everyone. And if you're trying to invest in Coinbase and try to get money today, that would have been the crypto, right? Coinbase is the platform. So the platform is going to do its thing where it comes off and then it does its thing and drops a little bit, but then it'll regulate. So you need to give that about maybe a quarter and a half for it to actually even out and then start doing what it's going to do. So Coinbase, again, and for folks who are investing in this now, you're losing a little bit of money, right? But again, this is a long-term play. This is not a short-term play. If you're investing to make money tomorrow, then you should be in Dogecoin. If you're investing to make money in the next 3 years, then you can use a strategy that's going to be more diversified. So in my opinion, again, as the prices continue to fall with Coinbase, just continue accumulating shares. You know, you're looking at this from the long-term lens, and that's how you have to look at investments. You can't look at it from a standpoint of, oh, this thing didn't make money today, so I'm going to sell it. Like anytime that you're investing in any type of currency, any type of investment that's going down, understand that there is a knee-jerk reaction where you want to just go from I'm losing money, okay, I'm just bailing out. I understand the knee-jerk reaction, or I'm losing money and things like Ethereum and Bitcoin, everything else is going up. Why am I over here in an account that's going down when these are going up? It's cyclical. Crypto is cyclical. Every investment is cyclical. Some investments are booming. Some are just moving sideways. Others are going down. All of them are good plays. You just have to know what your strategy is. And if you're investing a lot of your money into Coinbase, again, why would you do that? This should be money that you're looking at long term, because again, an IPO is not the time to invest your entire pot, into something. No, that's not how that works. You dollar cost average into it, meaning that you use a small percentage every single week or 2 weeks, and you continue to enter into the market slowly. That's the best way to go. That way, you're not going to hemorrhage a lot of money up front. You're just going to slowly gather that momentum. So by the time that that stock does pick up, similar to all the other ones that we're talking about in the crypto land, you're going to be making a killing. So point in case right now, I am looking at Ethereum. I'm looking at BNB. I'm looking at a couple other small ones. Let me see here. EOS. See, there are a lot of cryptos right now that you can get into that aren't going to cost you an arm and a leg. I mean, these things are trading for $8.33. Some are trading. Not $8.30. What is this trading for? Let me pull it up right now. Not $8. Oh, it is $8. Oh, I was not lying. Okay, trading for $8.74. You know, so there are a lot of coins that are out there that are not expensive. But again, all of your money shouldn't be going into this, because I know that anything that goes up as quickly as these things have been going up, it can turn. It can turn. And if you're in there when that turn happens and you've invested a ton of money, you're going to get hit hard. Now, here's the issue that you're going to have if you're hitting these types of gains with Dogecoin, all these other investments. Let's say you pull out your money and you cash out today, right? And you went from 1,000 to 121,000 because you invested in Dogecoin from the beginning. You're going to pay taxes on all that money as soon as you sell. So to me, again, this is where it gets complicated, because if you have to sell and pay capital gains taxes on $121,000, granted you have the money so you can always pay it, but it's like, if it runs a little bit more, why not keep it in there, right? You spent $1,000, now it's 121. Okay, what's the strategy for that? Well, we have a plan. Typically what you do whenever you make insane money like that, you literally cash out, make sure you have enough to pay the taxes, and then you reinvest, you go back in. That's a strategy a lot of people use because they want to kind of, you know, take the gain. You know, you could have made $121,000 in the last 4 months. Cool. There's been a lot of millionaires that have been made in the last 3-4 months. And there's going to be more, because again, cryptocurrency is where the wealthy and the institutions are moving their funds to. They're all moving there. So are all of them built the same? They're not. But if you're looking for quick money and you're okay paying the taxes, we've been talking about crypto, y'all. Do you guys believe me now? Do you believe me when I say that cryptocurrency is going to make you money if you want to make money? Granted, now, to be completely transparent, I have $0 in crypto as of right now. Why is that? It's just it's not even a choice that I want to make, but it's where I'm at right now. My thing was, I wanted to see how Coinbase did when it came out. I wanted to see the crypto market for another quarter. So right now, this is May. So by next month, I'll have all the data that I need on this bull run in the cryptocurrency market. After that analysis is done, I'm going to start getting heavy into it. Why? Because again, my investment in crypto is definitely going to be short term, because I'm going to invest in the smaller cryptos that are going to go like a Dogecoin from a penny to 69 cents. That's the kind of growth that I want. So I'm going to look at the smaller ones first, because again, crypto to me, if you're not getting Bitcoin, you know, you're going in for the short term. So just understand that you need to watch it every single day. You need to be on top of any sort of news. If there is any sort of articles, if there's any kind of tweets from Elon Musk, like just get in and understand that you have to now be a reactionary investor. You know, you don't get to sit around and not look at your investments every day. No, you have to do that every single day, every single minute, every single day. Now, for all of you who aren't sold on cryptocurrencies, and you have some speculation on why, I understand that, because again, it's not a real asset yet. It's treated like one, and you understand that it does have a value. But when you try to go and get a mortgage with your Bitcoin, you can't do that unless you go to a Bitcoin city. You can't, you know what I mean? Like there's ATMs in Florida, that's great, but you're not really using them like that. So I understand your hesitancy with it. My thing is that going forward, we need to all look at that, because again, it's the only real type of currencies that are going to be coming out over the next 10, 15 years when it comes to like actual value. And the dollar, the American dollar, is being liquidated. It's being watered down excessively. Like we're printing money like crazy people right now. So the value of the dollar is shrinking quickly. So for folks who don't understand how crypto works, just understand that the value of the coins don't typically drop and increase with printing. It's not one of those types of issues. You know, they increase over time with scarcity. That's it. The more scarce they are, the more they're worth. That's it. And with certain things like Bitcoin, for example, they don't make many of them. And as they are made, their value goes up, because again, the more people that want them and they can't get them, supply and demand, that's how prices go up. So Bitcoin is the standard. If you can get your hands on that, fractions of it, please do. But my strategy, similar to my stock strategy with cryptocurrency, is I want to find the smaller coins that are taking this bull run on head on. I don't like Dogecoin. I'm gonna be honest. However, the numbers don't lie. It's definitely running based on who knows what, but it's running. Is it making money? It's making money. You'd have to be a fool not to see that. Granted, the baseline of it is dumb. It doesn't make any sense. However, if it's something you can make money with, again, this is investments right now. This is what it's like. It's like the Wild Wild West out here. You're either you're out here to make money, or you're out here to just, invest long term, which again, both are important. What I would say for anyone who made a killing on Dogecoin so far is diversify the asset. If you're concerned about the fact that it's built on absolutely nothing and, people are just running it up, well, you cash out and then buy yourself a duplex, buy yourself a quadplex, buy yourself a small condominium or something, you know what I mean? And then rent it out, have different streams of income. You utilize what you've gained so far to create some level of income for yourself long-term. That will be a very easy kind of adjustment, because again, you're going from a coin that can continue to go up, or that can collapse in a day. And that's possible with a coin like that. Or you can take some of the gains, invest it in other properties, invest it in other investments, diversify the money that you've made from that, and literally put yourself in a good position, pay off all your debt. Like, there's so many things you can do with that type of income, especially if you've made 1,000 to 121,000. Cool. So definitely start looking at things like that, because, with crypto, again, it's going to continue to go up. Certain coins will boom, certain coins will bust. And we won't know until this kind of continues going forward and we see what the wealthy are doing with this. But you're better off doing crypto than you are putting your money in a savings account. I mean, that's just the facts, So for right now, I would say if you have money set aside, start looking at your cryptocurrencies, start looking at the smaller coins, see where you can maybe invest $100, $500, $1,000 of your savings into that, and just be prepared for the next deal, because we're going to see some corrections. This can't last this long. The market's been a bull market for quite some time. The S&P everything's been bullish for the last 3 months. Now we're kind of having a little bit of a correction, but as the economy opens back up, as folks are getting vaccinated, New York City is opening back up. My office opened back up this week. We're working full time now. So everything is coming back online. Economies are going to start opening back up. So a lot of the stocks that we've had and we've been sitting on, waiting for them to move, the cannabis industry, all of these things are going to now start to move, right? So all the money that you save, this is now the time to start looking at your assets and investing into them, because this is where you're going to start getting those low cost prices, and you can dollar cost your way into the growth that we're going to see over the next 3 quarters. I'm predicting that for the next 9 months, we're going to have a pretty choppy but growth oriented move for a lot of the stocks that we've been talking about on this channel. So anybody got any questions? Oh, let's see here. Mr. Casey, Mr. KCY, listen, that's for damn sure. It doesn't, and here's the thing about, money laundering, which we were talking about here. There's a lot of cash, especially when it comes to, dirty money, like drug money and things of that nature. There have been people that have found, the FBI has been finding stacks of money in factories, literally finding money that's not being moved, because again, during the pandemic, there isn't a lot of activity, a lot of street sales, a lot of that stuff is not happening. So money is needing to be put somewhere. And why not crypto, an unregulated market? Why not, right? So there is a lot of things happening, especially fiscally, when it comes to what money is and where it's being put and how it's being utilized. There's a way to make money in all of it, but we have to be careful, because again, if it's moving because of unscrupulous things, then it can actually, that could be your money caught up in that drop. It's just similar to GameStop and all the Reddit folks that are running stocks up and down. We are eligible to be in that space. But for now, that's just where it is. That's how it is. We just have to run with it. So regardless of if people are doing unscrupulous things with these cryptocurrencies, my thing is, if you're going into that game, don't bet the farm. Number one. Number two, go in with the mindset of, let me find something that's going to give me some quick returns, and understand that there's going to be a tax hit to these returns if I sell. Just understand that going in. And if the tax hit is worth it, utilize that money to make your life better today. Because again, it's going to take crypto a while for it to become mainstream, for folks to be using it as a debit card, using it at the grocery store, using it to pay your rent. That's going to take some time. If in the meantime, you can clear your debt, you can maybe buy a property, you can do some other things, buy a new car, do things that are going to benefit your life today. I'm a proponent of making sure that your investments help you live better. Like that's a beautiful thing. So think about those things as we go into the next couple of quarters, and definitely start looking at those smaller coins, because again, there's a lot of money to be made in cryptocurrency, and going forward, it's going to be the only type of currency that's going to matter. User to user interface. That's going to be it. So any questions about that? Let me go to Finance Home, see what the news is. Stock futures open flat. Yeah, that's the kind of market we've been in. Everybody's enjoying everything else except the real things. Oh, and one last thing I'll talk about before we leave the crypto market. Oil has been moving, and uranium as nuclear energy led as a clean energy source. Yeah. So oil has been booming over the last month. That's been a thing. If you've been watching OPEC and all the different oil companies, they have been moving. Let's look up one right now. Let's see. Let's look up BP. All right, just overtook their moving average. I mean, they've had a really good run so far, but they also fell a lot as well. So, we're looking at bullish. Oil is bullish right now. Let me see Sunoco. Right now, we're looking up different stocks right now, just seeing how they've been moving. Yeah, they've just all been moving that way. And I think that's part of the diversification that we need to always remember. Anytime stocks are choppy and anytime economy is opening back up, oil is going to be there. We're talking about an economy, and this is investing like an economist, right? Flights are opening back up, cities are opening back up, commerce is opening back up. What's the result of that? It's transportation, right? Things are going to start moving again. That is oil. Automatically, there's going to be a demand for that. There's going to be an increase in the revenue of a lot of companies, especially oil companies, because as the economy opens back up, we have to use gas, we have to use oil. Now, here's the thing. Is this a long-term play? It's not, but it is for the next, 2 years until we regulate everything with COVID. Yeah, it's gonna keep moving because, again, we're using more things. Here's the thing, though. A lot of the states and a lot of manufacturers are designing hybrid vehicles, hybrid everything. They're doing a lot of green technology. So this is a good time if you have an oil portfolio for you to get those final gains out of this over the next couple of years. But understand that by 2030, oil is going to be old business. So you're going to have to start kind of canceling all of those types of contracts and moving into a space where you have more renewable energy, because that's going to be what's going to be taking off over the next 10 years. And there are states who are saying that if you have a gas car, you can't even drive it in our state after the year 2030. So there has been a big push into EVs, into electric vehicles, into renewable energy from cars, trucks. I'm assuming boats are next. So definitely want to get your hands into those companies that are leading that charge. And that's what I mean by investing like an economist, is looking at where things are going and investing in companies that are going to be primed to succeed in that environment. It's a lot easier said than done. Yeah, a lot easier said than done, but it can be done. What we'll talk about in 2 weeks, because again, next week will be the wife, but in 2 weeks, I'm going to go over my list of the top 20 stocks that are going to be primed for second half of the year run. I think we did this in the beginning of the year where we talked about our top 12 stocks, and that was a hit. And if you had invested in those stocks, I think you would be sitting either at a neutral position right now, or you'd be up depending on which stocks you picked and when you picked them. But going forward, I want to definitely take a look at that and make sure that we're looking at these companies and not losing sight of them. I had companies like Sundial and Neo, Tilray, FuelCell, Inseego, Plug, Jumia, OEG, Sunrun, SPG, Sunoco, WTI, Craig. A lot of these companies are and have been decreasing and declining over the last 2 months, right? as folks are moving their monies into crypto. It's literally been like, as the stocks are dropping, this is coming up. And as COVID has continued to hit, again, these companies, their prices are going down. That is the time to buy. So for all those folks who invested in those companies that I just listed off, and you're seeing your portfolio getting lower and lower, continue to contribute and buy more shares. I'm telling you right now, I know it doesn't seem like it makes sense, but this is how you invest for the long term. It is not about getting quick gains today. It's not about having a Dogecoin gain of 1,000% in the last week. These stocks are the ones that are going to make a lot of money long term. Okay, we said 3 to 4 years. That was our time frame. So all of the companies I just mentioned, 3 to 4 years is our time frame. If you can get those stocks at these prices now, this is a good time to get them, and especially before the cannabis space opens up. It's again, this is the time. I'm gonna look at Tilray right now. That was a stock that we talked about, and it had its peak over at $42 back in February, and ever since then it's been dropping and dropping and dropping. And again, this is your time to continue to purchase. Now, there's been some news about Tilray lately, building a global cannabis brand. They're on my watch list. Their stock has been falling, underperforms the market. Again, the merger closes and creates world's biggest weed company. So Tilray and Aphria's merger. So there's a lot of news in the cycle, and all that stuff is good. My thing is, this is long-term investing. Your portfolio, if you're an aggressive person, understand that you're probably going to be 90% in stocks, 10% in bonds or cash, and that's how you move. When you are a moderate investor, you're going to be about 70% invested in stocks, 20% in bonds and cash, 10% in straight cash. For me, I feel like it's important for you to have your portfolio work in your mentality. If you're an aggressive person, then just go into crypto, just go into oil, go into things that are moving right now and just enjoy the gains, right? If, however, you're like me, where you're a little bit more methodical, a portion of your investment should be in that. 10%, 20%, yeah, go for it. Get into the crypto, get into the oil, get into anything that's moving quickly, fine. The other 70%, however, you've got to have a long-term strategy on that. And remember, every stock, no matter what it is, if you go back to 2000, they were all lower than they are today. That's 20 years ago, right? If I'm investing for the future of myself and my kids, I've got to think past the next 6 months. I've got to think for 20 years. And I know that doesn't make you feel good today about your portfolio going down, but I'm saying, look at any stock that has survived the last 20 years and ask yourself, is it higher today than it was 20 years ago? The answer is going to be yes. Generational wealth is not as risky as like everything else that we're talking about. It's long-term. You just have to continue buying more assets. You're not going to find a millionaire that only owns 10 shares of a stock. Unless it's Berkshire Hathaway, like you're not finding that. Every millionaire and billionaire has thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of shares of stocks that they invest in. That's how they became wealthy, because they had volume. So what I'm saying to you is, it doesn't matter. And this is why I don't have to look at my portfolio every single day. I really don't, because again, there's my daughter. I'm planning for the long term, which means that you have to continue to invest, even if your portfolio doesn't look like it's doing well. It doesn't matter. This is not emotional, right? Investing is not an emotional thing. It doesn't have to be, right? You can just invest and understand that your gains are going to come over time. Anyone that has a 401k, that has a 403b, and you've been putting 5% every single 2 weeks, you're not looking at the portfolio. You're not really, it's in a mutual fund. You're just putting more money in. That's the same attitude you have to have with this. You find the stocks that you like, stocks that are going to be in a good industry, something's going to be moving. And that's just blindly, just go, just go. Okay. And again, a part of your portfolio should be doing that. The other half that you want to be aggressive with, let's have at it. Let's go at it. Let's get Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Ethereum. Let's get whatever. Let's get oil, Sunoco, BP. Let's get whatever. Let's get, the blockchain stocks. Let's get Coinbase. Let's get whatever. Let's get Tesla stock. Let's get whatever. The moral of the story is, with your aggressive part of your portfolio, be aggressive. With the rest of it, be consistent. You know what I'm saying? With the aggressive part, be aggressive. With the rest of it, just be consistent. You're going to make more money being consistent than you will be making the right move once out of 12 moves. Right? Just continue to be consistent with your stocks and you're going to be fine. Can we get access to that list somewhere? Parker, so what I'm going to do is the list I just mentioned, Yeah, what I'll do is I'm going to add them at the bottom of this video. So after this video is done, I'll post it and I'll add all the stocks that I'm talking about, the ones that we talked about early in this year, and then the next 20 stocks that I'm going to talk about for the rest of the year. I'm going to add them at the bottom of this video when it's posted. I'll add the first 12 now, and then by tomorrow, I'll add the other 20. And then from there, we're just going to follow them. And I think for all the new investors in the room who are looking to kind of, gain perspective as to how we view these things, I think we should do like a masterclass on how to look at stocks and how to not be afraid of them. But understand that no matter what you learn about stocks, the most important thing for generational wealth is consistency in purchasing. That's it. That's all it is. There's nothing else. It doesn't even matter. Like, all you have to do is just continue to buy. You do that, you will win. Let me give you my final example. I'm going to go to a 20-year chart for, right now I don't want to use Apple, but I will. 20-year chart, let's go back. I know they'll go back far enough, right? Max view. You go back 20 years. 20 years was 2001, right? Apple stock was 36 cents. Okay, now it's 128. It doesn't matter what you pick. Just pick anything. As long as it's existed for the last 20 years, you're going to see. It's just it takes the work out of it. As long as your company doesn't go bankrupt, you're going to be okay. So yeah, we'll definitely do that, Parker, for sure. And I think that once we break down what to look for in a stock and just how to like view a company, the goal isn't necessarily just understanding that, but it's really about understanding your habits and your emotions when it comes to gains and losses in the market. Don't run when the money goes down, add more. When the money goes up, reallocate. Just very simple. Just if you like, for example, with Dogecoin, if you had $1,000 in that in January, right now it's worth 121,000. Reallocate. That's all it is. That's the rules. If your money goes up a lot, take the gains, reallocate into something else. If your money goes down a lot, continue to buy at those lower prices. You do those two things, an up market, down market doesn't matter. You're making money no matter what. So that's pretty much what I got for y'all today. Sorry again for folks who don't know, we started talking about critical race theory. That's how we started this conversation. And that was an article that I had shared earlier. And that was something from the Lori Daniels Favors XM Twitter. She is a host on SiriusXM Urban View, and her show comes on like 10 o'clock in the morning. Amazing show. She had a great show today talking about just being, how Republican legislators are trying to legislate not talking about Black history in our high schools, and what that's going to do if those laws pass, how that impacts teachers and their ability to actually teach the truth about the history of this country and the fact that the system of systemic racism was built during that time. So we just need to make sure that we're staying aligned with that knowledge and that we understand that those are the types of conversations that as Black and brown melanated folks, we have to have that. Because if we don't have those conversations, we're not doing right by we're not doing right by our calling to be the light, to show folks the way, right? Now, one last thing I'll say before I end up, for everyone on here, if you don't have a final will, we are doing them for folks. We did 5 wills last week and we do them for free. What we do is we go through all the questions like, who would be the executor of your will? If you have a minor child, who do you want to be a guardian? Do you have any digital assets that you'd like to set aside to have a digital executor take care of specifically? We're in 2021. Some of you have digital platforms, you have businesses, you have things that are in your name. And if you die tomorrow because of COVID or something happened to you, who would you want to be responsible for your digital assets? Who do you want to be responsible for going through your Facebook? Who do you want to be responsible for going through your Instagram and downloading the photos and just saving some of your data and your information? Like, those are questions that are different now than they were for our parents, right? Like, that's stuff that we talk about. And I'm going to employ all of you that if you don't have a will right now, DM me, set up a time. We'll go on StreamYard like you see right now, and we will set up a will for you. We've done it for 5 folks this week, and we're going to keep doing it. This is a free service. It doesn't cost you anything. We paid for a service to do this. And it's really important that you understand that if you have younger kids, if you don't have a will, they will be in trouble because the state or the country that you're in will determine when and how they get the money that you set aside for them. They will determine whether or not they should get money for education and those things while they're minors. You do not want to have that. What if you're really young? Doesn't matter. A will, once you have it in place, is going to tell whoever is responsible for you and for your final burial, what you want to see happen with the assets you've accumulated. Now, let's say you're 18, you're 19, you're 20. You don't have a house, you don't have any kids. I'm kicking the stand. I'm sorry. You don't have a house, you don't have any kids, but you have a 401k, you have life insurance. You may have some cousins, you may have some siblings, whatever have you. We're talking about generational wealth, right? Generational wealth means that it goes beyond you. So even if you're young, having something that's set aside to take care of the generational wealth transfer piece is always important. Now, there are parts of a will that are just going to apply to you, and no matter your age, it becomes more relevant when we talk about, are there things that you want to see happen in your final moments on this earth, right? I am 37, transparency. I have a daughter, I have properties, I have businesses. For me to not have a will would be irresponsible. You know what I mean? To be irresponsible, because I would be leaving my wife to try to figure out how to handle things. At least with the will, she'll understand what I had, where it is, what to do about it, what I would want for my daughter. Like, all of those things can be laid out. Now, if you are not in a position to think that you need a will, well, there's something called a living will. And it's when you need to have the decision made as to whether or not, let's say you become incapacitated, you get into a car accident, something happens, and you're brain dead, right? Or you're just, there's no movement. A living will determine whether or not they should pull the plug if you wanted that as your final wish. And those are the types of things that will matter no matter your age, because again, at any point in time, you could be put in a position where your mind isn't able to actually speak on your behalf. And then you need to have a healthcare proxy and someone who's going to actually step up and take care of your medical and your health. So these are all the things that you have to look at. No matter your age, these are things and documents that we set up and we help you with. So just reach out to me. And again, if you're looking at investing in things, one of the beautiful things about reaching out to us is that with my financial advisement background, I can talk about wills in a way that's different. I can talk about it in a way that can actually tie in the financial piece to your final requests. Because as an advisor, we would do estate planning with folks all the time. And the lawyers just drafted up what we were talking about. That's all. They made sure that what we talked about happened legally. But we were the ones that designed the plans. So you're going to get that service. And hopefully, you take the time to do this, because again, this is something that can benefit you and your family. And again, going forward, your parents, for example, let's say that they don't have a will. Well, you need to talk to them about that. And going through this process with us, it's like a 20-minute process. It gives you the questions to ask them. Because even for my mom and my dad, my grandparents lived until 97 and 95 respectively. My grandfather died at 100. So I have long genes. Like, I'm probably going to live for a very long time. But my mother and father, for example, they're still with us. And, me understanding how a will works, it's like, okay, well, what would you guys want for your final expense? Would you want to be buried in this country? Would you want to be buried back home? Would you want to have, your house be gifted to your youngest child? Like, what do you want to see? Like, for me, the conversation is completely different, because now I'm going to find out what the heck they want. In a perfect world, your parents will die before you. In a perfect world, that's what's supposed to happen. So understanding and having that conversation with them is really important, so that at least you are not left holding the bag and put in a position like some of the folks that we talk to, where it's really difficult. You're dealing with the mourning of a parent, and then you also now have to figure out where their things were and how to get things where they need to be. And if there's, assets in different places, different countries, whatever have you. If, God forbid, your parents have any type of mental illness or something in that nature, well, then now it's going to be even more important to have a healthcare proxy, make sure they have a living will, make sure they have a caretaker or someone that's going to be responsible for their medical decisions, a durable power of attorney. All of these things are things that we talk about because, again, they can apply to all of you. So if you have a parent, I would say going through this kind of helps you to understand what questions you need to ask them. So that'll be one thing, Parker, I would say that would be a benefit to you no matter your age. But again, more importantly, it's really making sure that everyone around you that you might be responsible for has an understanding of what may happen, so that we can not just be surprised. And granted, these aren't conversations that are foreign these are things that we just have to have. They're tough, but once they're done, you can enjoy living your life. You don't have to worry about anything else, right? So that's what I'll say about that. And again, we're doing free wills. We're doing the consults. Just hit us up, and we can, do that for you. All we ask is that if you, decide to do a will with us, that you go on our website and, check out our stuff, see what we're doing. If you enjoy what it is, donate $1. Doesn't matter. Like, there's no fee to this, but I'm just saying, the reason why we can do this is because we're a nonprofit. The reason why we can do this is because we're trying to provide value to folks. That's why we do this podcast every week. So if you find value in that, please feel free to hit us up, check us out, and right on our page, you can go right down to the bottom and it says philanthropic part, donate if you find value. All right. So any questions, folks? If not, I want to say what up to Kurt. What's going on? Shanitra, what's up? How are you? Lauren, what's going on? Queen Femi, Tice, Mr. Ward, Aunt Bev, what's going on? Auntie, Nelly, T, what's up? I forgot to pin that, babe. My bad. I'll pin it now. Pin it late, but as long as it gets pinned, right? All right, folks. Well, thank you so much for enjoying this conversation. It was really cool. The website, okay, we'll put that in the chat. The website, it is www.theway.com. And I'll have my producer put that in there you go. There's an accent on it. And just so you know, like, we're ahead of the curve because there aren't many people that have accents in their URLs. And we decided to do it in ours. And before you know it, I'm sure it's going to be something that becomes mainstream. But yeah, so if you don't have, if you have an old computer and you don't have the ability to make that accent, I think it's accent aigu. Sorry, just copy and paste it on here and it'll work just the same. So check us out and feel free to hit us up about the free wills and tell your friends, tell your family. I've got a consult actually after this. And we're going to be on Clubhouse talking about more of this, information in reference to critical race theory and a little bit more about what Lori Daniel Favors was mentioning in her show today. So we're going to talk more in depth about it on Clubhouse tonight at 9:30. So join us there. But until then, y'all, that's it. Enjoy yourselves. Have a wonderful week. Go crypto. And let's make sure that we're all, doing it responsibly. All right. So folks, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next week. Have a nice one. Take care. YouTube. All right, y'all. Critical race theory. Look it up. This is the nonsense they're trying. They're trying it, but it won't work. It won't work. Check out Lori Daniel Favors. Like I said, SiriusXM. She is awesome. Her shows are awesome. And the topic today was outstanding. Her and her husband were on, and they crushed it. So folks, check us out. Our website is www.theway.com. Handle that. Appreciate you guys. And we will see you on Clubhouse. Till then, stay safe, love on each other, and, just continue to educate each other on our history because it matters. All right. We'll take care. Adios.